What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. A new college basketball bracketology just dropped, so we're getting straight into this. As you can see right here, updated this morning, the 27th. So we're getting straight into it. We're going to see what changed since the last video a couple days ago. And before we do, be sure to subscribe right now. We're getting close to 200 subscribers, which is a big deal for me, honestly. And let's get straight into this video. All right. Start off with the bracket watch right here. Top overall seed is Purdue now. I believe last time it was Houston, right? I could be wrong on that one, but I believe that was it. I think Forest was the first team out. Wake Forest just pulled off a big upset over Duke, so it makes sense. They probably moved up quite a bit. And Texas A&M takes their spot, and Gonzaga, who's been winning a couple games and is on the rise, is now the last team in. Okay. Now, on the bubble, we got the last four byes: Texas, Wake Forest, Nevada, New Mexico. So Wake Forest pulled off that big win over Duke, but Texas is a team that's going backwards. They were like the sixth, seventh seed, somewhere in that area, and they took a couple big L's, so they're back in the last four byes. They better hope they can stay in college basketball for the next week or however longer we have in college basketball. So they better hope they can keep that spot in the last four byes and not move even further back, because that will start to get risky. And then Nevada and New Mexico, two teams who are pretty hot right now, moving up on the board. And the last four in here, we have Seton Hall, Virginia, Providence, and Gonzaga. Gonzaga, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the play-in games, and they are again today. So Gonzaga hasn't moved up at all, pretty much. Providence, I don't know much about them. Virginia took an L against North Carolina, but they were expected to lose that game. North Carolina is a top 10 team, and Seton Hall's a solid team as well. Then the teams barely missing out right now: Texas A&M, Villanova, Utah, and Colorado. I'm shocked to see Utah here, because in the last video, I believe they were like an 8 seed or something, and I picked them to win in the first round, so that's really surprising. Then we got Butler, Ole Miss, Kansas State, Iowa. So Butler had a playing game our last video, and now they're to the next four out. So they might have just thrown their season away. Ole Miss, and then Kansas State. Kansas State yesterday had an overtime win by like 3 or 4 points over, I believe it was West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia. But that was a must-win game for them, is what the announcer said. They needed to win that game, or they would be eliminated from March Madness. So a huge win for them there. They're still in it. And then Iowa. Iowa's a little underrated, in my opinion. I could definitely see them sneak in to March Madness. We can look at our play-in brackets. Here we go. Merrimack and Norfolk State. Those are the automatic qualifiers for that side. Then Seton Hall and Virginia. Virginia, man, they pretty much had a seed locked up, but now they're in a play-in game, so that's pretty rough for them. Then Little Rock, Grambling, two other automatic qualifiers. And we've also got Providence and Gonzaga. That'll be a good game to watch, that one. Gonzaga was here in this exact game last time, but they were playing Butler, who's now in the next four out category. So there you have it. And now we're getting into the good stuff. Here, let's see. We're starting in the Midwest over here on Detroit with Purdue against Merrimack or Norfolk State. All right, Purdue, in my opinion, is probably the best team in the country. I would say it was UConn for a while, or Houston, but UConn got upset by quite a bit against Creighton, I believe it was. And then Houston's shown some shakiness for me, so I don't have them as the number one overall seed. I have it as Purdue. That should be an easy win, no matter who it is. Crazier things have happened, though. 1 versus 16. We'll have to see how that goes down. Should be an easy win for Purdue, though. Next up, we got Boise State, Florida Atlantic. I probably have Florida Atlantic in this one because they've been in the top 25 quite a bit more. They have a better record than Boise State. I do just think they're the better team overall. Despite them being a seed lower than Boise, I do think they will pull that one off. Then a team I've been really high on for a while, Washington State, will take on Samford, an automatic qualifier here. Let's see. Washington State pulls off another upset this week They are going crazy right now. As you can see, they are moving up. They're now a 5 seed. So if they can keep moving up in the ranks, it would be very good for them. I could definitely see them get up to as high as a 3 seed before the season's over. I really like them. Should be an easy win over Stanford for them. Then we got Baylor versus Vermont, another automatic qualifier. Jeez. Baylor is a team I'm not so high on. I know they've had a really difficult schedule. They played Houston, Kansas, so many teams, so many top 3 seeds. So it is really tough for them, but their record's not very good. They have so many quad 1 losses, but honestly, their schedule is one of the most difficult in all of the NCAA. So, I don't hate them at the 4 seed. I think that's a good spot for them. Next up, we got Dayton versus Seton Hall or Virginia. My guess is it's going to be Virginia. And here's my reason why, because my team, North Carolina, went against Virginia just earlier this week. Virginia tires you out, bro. They wear your defense down, they wear your offense down. If you looked at that game, they held us to only 54 points. Now, the reason they lost is because they only put up 44 themselves, but they only held us to 54 points because they are the best defense in the country. The only problem is on their offensive side. They are not very good offensively, but they have the best defender in the country, Reese Beekman, and another great defender in Dunn. So watch out for them if you're going to watch that game. Virginia could make a run for sure if they can just get their offensive act together for sure. Next up, we got Alabama High Point, another automatic qualifier from their conference, and it should be an easy win for Alabama. We've seen what Alabama can do. They are clearly one of the better teams in this bracket. Texas Tech, Nevada in the Indianapolis division now. All right, I have mixed feelings about both these teams. Texas Tech at certain times this year looked like they're going to be a really good team. They can move up in the top 5 seeds. And then other times they've been really down. They haven't put up many points. So I have mixed feelings about them. And also Nevada, who's been on a hot streak recently, but then the last couple games they've started to fade out a little bit. So honestly, I could see an upset by Nevada here. This will be a really close game though. Very defensive game, I think. Then we got Marquette and Sam Houston. Marquette has shown they are up there with the best teams in the country. I could see them pull upsets on Arizona, Houston, pretty much any of the 1 seeds. I could see them beating. So watch out for Marquette when tournament time comes around. They should easily destroy Sam Houston here. Next up, we move into the West Division in Los Angeles. We start off with Salt Lake. Got Arizona versus Little Rock / Grambling State. This is Little Rock's first time in the bracket here, as you can see by that plus symbol. So they're a new team in here. Grambling State was in here before. Little Rock, Grambling State, whoever wins, they're gonna get destroyed by Arizona. But I think the team who has the best chance to beat Arizona, even though it is a very small chance, would be Grambling State. Next up, we've got TCU, Michigan State. 2 teams who've had an interesting year. Both of them have had ups and downs. I do think TCU is the better team overall. They're on a hot streak also, right there. Next up, we move to the next division. We got Kentucky versus Richmond. Okay, Kentucky. See, Kentucky's another one of those teams where at certain times this year, you feel like they could be any team in the country. And then other times, they're losing to really mediocre schools, and you're starting to think maybe they're not for real. But then they come back up and they beat like a top 3 seed. So, Kentucky, they will beat Richmond for sure. But I could see them go on another low streak. They could drop a couple seeds, which would not be good for them. Then we got San Diego State versus UC Irvine. San Diego State should win that one pretty easily. Now, South Carolina versus Providence or Gonzaga. I'm going to guess it's going to be Gonzaga. I think they have the better roster overall. And honestly, I do feel like they have a good chance to beat whoever the 6th seed is right now at South Carolina. I do think they have a good chance to beat whoever that's going to be. So that'll be a fun game to watch. 6 versus 11 in Pittsburgh. And we got Duke Cornell. Cornell, another team who's coming in here for the first time with that plus symbol. They're an automatic qualifier, and they're a 14 seed going against Duke, who's had an up and down year once again. They're number 2 in the ACC behind only the Tar Heels. So Duke, Duke, okay. As a Heels fan, we've gone against Duke once this year. We're about to go against them again this week. They are dangerous when they want to be dangerous, but sometimes they don't give it their all. In the last game we saw this against Wake Forest, they kind of just let Wake Forest hang around, and then Wake Forest jumped up and got the upset, just like that. So we'll have to see what Duke we see in March Madness. Next up, we got Utah State, Texas here. Texas, man. What happened to Texas? This would have been pretty much swapped last week. Texas was at the 7 seed, I believe, and Utah State was somewhere in the 10, 11 seed area. So this kind of swapped around. Texas, though, they had a great chance, and now they're starting to kind of fall in the rankings. And if you're a Texas fan, you're just hoping they can pull it together and make a late run to secure their spot in March Madness. And next up, we got Kansas, East Washington. Definitely have Kansas in this one. Should be an easy win for them. They have had an up and down year, but I do think they could pull that one off. Next up, Tennessee versus Fairfield. I'm trying to highlight this. It's not working very well. Whatever, you get the point. Tennessee, Fairfield. Okay. Ooh, okay. Tennessee. Man, I have a couple feelings about Tennessee. A lot of these teams, it feels like, have just been so shaky. There's like no teams that have been just amazing all year long. I guess that's what's fun about college basketball, though. No team just dominates. There's always a chance of an upset. Tennessee, they should be Fairfield. I think they're good enough to do that. Now I have an upset alert here. Wake Forest, Colorado State. Wake Forest was not even in it before today, and now they're a 10 seed. Okay, so watch out for Wake Forest. They just pulled up the upset over Duke, and they could beat Colorado State easily if they show what they showed in the Duke game. They just need to keep doing that. Creighton, Charleston, Creighton, man. Creighton will win this one easily. They are very hot right now. Watch out for Creighton. Florida, Indiana State. Got to give it to Florida here for sure. They're on the uprise. I think Indiana State might put up a fight, but I don't think they're good enough to hang around in the second half with them. And we got Illinois, Akron. Got to give it to Illinois here. I don't like always picking the higher seeds, but all of these higher seeds I feel like will win these for sure, especially against all these automatic qualifiers. Like, shoot, I lost my spot. Okay, like Akron or Grand Canyon, all those. I feel like the other team should win easily because the only reason they're in it is because they have an easy conference and are the best in their conference pretty much. But that's not hard to do when you're in a non-Power 5 conference. So next up we got Clemson, Grand Canyon. Yeah, Clemson, I trust Clemson. I think they'll win this one for sure against Grand Canyon, but Grand Canyon we've seen in the last couple of years have been solid in March Madness. So we'll have to see how they do there. I think they've made the tournament like all of the last 3 years. Very interesting there. Nebraska, Mississippi State. This could be a close game because both of them have moved up at least 1 seed this week, and they're 8 and 9 seed. I think this could go either way. I would pick, just because I don't know too much about either of these schools, I think I just picked the higher seed as Mississippi State. Next up, we got Houston, South Dakota State. Okay. Houston will win this for sure. South Dakota State, it looks like they were in it last year. Oh, yeah, okay. I remember now the last video we made on Bracketology. South Dakota State was in the play-in game, and it looks like now they've been promoted from a play-in game to now a bye in the first round and take on Houston and inevitably just get destroyed. So very interesting there. North Carolina up to a 2 seed now. They have them winning their conference still. They take on Colgate. Honestly, as a Carolina fan, I don't know if I would want to play Colgate. I actually went. You want to know something crazy? I saw a Colgate game this year. I barely ever go to college basketball games, but I watched them play Bucknell because Bucknell is only like 10 minutes away from me. So we just saw that game. So I know a little bit about Colgate. Bucknell hung around in that game. So they didn't end up losing, but Bucknell hung around in that game. So if Bucknell can hang with these guys, then North Carolina should absolutely blow their brains out. So North Carolina wins big there. BYU, New Mexico. Both teams moving down this week. honestly think I'm going to go New Mexico here. I just think they've had a couple upsets this year. I think I have them over BYU in the upset. Now we have Iowa State, Oakland. Definitely Iowa State here for sure. Iowa State has just shown they're the better team overall. St. Mary's, South Florida. I think we got to go St. Mary's here. Honestly, an underrated team. I would not have them at 6. I would have them at 4 or 5. That's just my opinion, though. Now we got Auburn, Appalachian State. Uh, I say, yeah, definitely Auburn. Appalachian State's not a terrible team. They've shown some signs of life this year, but honestly, Auburn's just a better team overall. Wisconsin, McNeese State. Definitely Wisconsin here. McNeese State. Haven't watched them at all this year. Oklahoma, Northwestern. Ooh, this could be a close one, you know. Oklahoma, I think, is who I would pick in this one, but I wouldn't sleep on Northwestern. I would not hate picking Northwestern here. They're at the 9 seed, and they're moving up this week. So I don't hate Northwestern in that one, but I think I will pick Oklahoma. And finally, UConn, Eastern Kentucky. UConn will win it for sure, but they have shown some shakiness. So in the next couple rounds after this one, I could see either Oklahoma or Northwestern pulling off an upset. But that's going to be it. But first, let's just look right here at all of our conference breakdowns. Big 12 has the most with 9, SEC then with 7, Big 10 with 6, Mountain West with 6. That's kind of crazy. Big East with 5, ACC with 5. I would honestly expect the ACC to have more. I honestly think the ACC should have more. I know the ACC better than any other conference. They have so many teams that could compete in March Madness, but they're all just right out. They're all just barely out of the tournament. So I would not be surprised if we see a couple more ACC teams sneak in as the final week of the season goes on. Now we got Pac-12 with 2, American with 2, West Coast Conference with 2. I'm guessing that would be Gonzaga. Who would the other one be? Let me just look through this real quick. Providence? Are they in? Are they in the West Coast Conference? I'm not sure. No, they're on the East Coast, so they can't be. Who would the other one be? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up real quick. Okay, so it turns out the other team is St. Mary's, who they have winning the conference. So good to know that. I was actually did not know that they were in the West Coast Conference. And then finally, the Atlantic 10 has 2 teams in it. So there you have it. There's the conference breakdowns, and that's gonna be it for the video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day. Remember to keep God first, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.